Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Carrie, and today I've decided to do a little bit of an old school video, and that's a tag. And I've decided to do the Disneyland Paris tag because if you didn't know, basically like half of my content on here is Disneyland Paris related, or at least just Disney related. And I realised that I've actually vlogged about 4 of my trips now before, but I've never really done like a get to know me style thing or anything to kind of like share my personal experience of Disneyland Paris. So I felt like it would be a good time to start. And as you can see, I've tried to do a little bit of like a Disney ear display behind me. Oh, I actually put this pair of ears aside for the video and I only just realised that I wasn't wearing them, but now I'm eared up and ready to go. And for the questions, I actually just googled Disneyland Paris tag and got the first list that I found. I feel like the tag's been floating around for a few years now, so I'm afraid I don't know where it started, so credit to whoever that was, but I will put the questions that I'm using in the description for anyone who wants to do it. So the first question is, when was your first trip and how many times have you been? And my first official trip was 2001, so I believe I was about 4 years old, and I went with my mum and my dad, and it was basically on a coach holiday, and we were going to Spain, I believe, and we're staying in the caravan in Spain, but we went on a coach and it included a stop in Disneyland Paris for 1 day, and that was my first official taste of it. And even though I don't remember any of it, let's be real, that's just where it all began. But technically speaking, my mum, I get it from her, because she actually went when she was pregnant with me in 1996. So her theory is that I must have heard the music and like knew what was going on and I was brainwashed, so I think that's kind of plausible, to be honest. And as for how many times I've been, it is now at number 13, I believe. I was very lucky to be able to go lots as a child. It was basically our main family holiday every 2 years after that first one in 2001, so we went like 2002, and then from that it was every 2 years, so 2004, 2006, all of that and everything, and I looked forward to it every year. But in recent years, of course, I've been paying for my own trips. It's kind of become a problem, you know, I'm on my 4th annual pass now, but you know, that's what I enjoy. Question 2 is, which Disney hotels have you stayed in and which would you like to stay in? And to be honest, I've actually, as of now, only ever stayed in one official Disney hotel, and that was in my January trip. Basically, over the years, we went many different ways. So like I said, we went on coach trips sometimes we made our own way by going on the ferry, and we did plane one time, and we always booked things either as a package through someone who wasn't Disney or booked everything separate. And basically it was our way of just doing like the more affordable trips. So most of my time I've actually spent staying in the partnered hotels such as the Curiad, and there's other ones like Dream Castle and Magic Circus, and I highly recommend them. I might do a video on them at some point because I personally think they are amazing. But yeah, the first official hotel I stayed in was the Hotel Santa Fe, and that was this January when I went with my mum. I treated her to a trip and honestly I loved it. Like, cars is the theme of the hotel, and it's one of my favourite Pixar films, even though it's underrated, so I quite liked it. I'm actually also staying in a Disney hotel in my upcoming trip, which is my July trip, and I'm staying in the Hotel Cheyenne, which I'm very excited about because I love cowboy themed things. It's just one of my things, and it's one I've always wanted to stay in, so I'm excited about that. And this time we've actually used annual pass discount to get a good offer, so we're only staying for 1 night in that hotel. So personally, I normally only stay in these hotels if there's a good like annual pass discount offer or a good package. Or when it comes to dream hotels, I honestly would love to stay in all of them. The ones that really stand out to me is of course the Disneyland Hotel, but arguably if I had the choice, I think I would go for Newport Bay, because Newport Bay is just such beautiful theming. Like, the rooms look amazing. Like, I personally just, it's beautiful, and if you've got like a lake view room or something, like, yes please, sign me up. I definitely would love to stay there one day. Question number 3 is, what is my favourite restaurant? And if we're talking about like sit down restaurants, I would personally say my favourite is actually Inventions in the Disneyland Hotel, which I've only ate at once before, and that was just for breakfast. Obviously I did not stay there myself, but we decided to pay a little extra and go get breakfast there, and the theming is beautiful. Like, just to walk into that hotel, it's lovely, and it was like a breakfast buffet, like a really good range if I remember correctly. So yeah, I do highly recommend Inventions. Another exciting thing is that I'll be going back there next month, and we're going to hopefully do the Inventions brunch, which happens every Sunday with characters and everything. Very excited about that, so it'd be nice to kind of go there because I haven't been there for a few years and see like how the brunch differs to like the breakfast. Question number 5 is my favourite quick service restaurant, and for me personally, I think I'd say Colonel Happy's in Adventureland, just purely for like, not necessarily for the theming, even though it is really lovely in there with like the tree and everything, but just for the food. Like, I think the options are really lovely. I believe the menu is actually identical to Pizza Bella Notte in Fantasyland, and basically it's an option of pizza, lasagna and pasta. My go-to order there is definitely the lasagna, which comes with the garlic bread, and then also the tiramisu dessert, which honestly, and the portion sizes are amazing. I believe that one's like about 13-14 euros and you get a big drink included. I think it's a really good go-to meal. Next question question is my favourite shop, and my go-to answer would definitely be the Emporium down Main Street because it's just beautiful and I feel like it has a really good like selection of all the merchandise. But if we talk about window shopping, I would say the Disney fashion shop in the Village. I believe that's the name of it, but basically it's kind of like designer style brands, or maybe just like more like sophisticated like adult clothing, and it's normally quite pricey, but trust me, I could spend an hour in there just window shopping, imagining all the like beautiful things I buy. And now they have like a vintage clothing section which has loads of like Disney original like pieces from like vintage stores that's been collected over the years, and I had a look and wow, it's pricey. Like for a t-shirt that's kind of like a bit vintage, saying like Euro Disney or something, you're looking at a good 100 euros. But you know, I like to look. Question 7 is my favourite season or event. And for me this is definitely a tie between whatever season is happening in spring. Because I've been now, most of my trips are during the springtime, and I just love all the flowers and like just the beautiful like colour scheme and atmosphere. And I used to adore the swing into spring season. Like honestly, I've vlogged them a while ago. They're probably not as good as like I think they were at the time, but personally just loved it. I remember loving Goofy's Garden Party and the music, and they had like, oh, I forgot what it was called, but it was like the Sunny Bunnyland song, and basically like they kind of encouraged all like the guests to kind of like learn the routine and jump in and everything, and it was amazing. Like I adored that. Then of course most recently, if you've seen my vlogs, I literally fell in love with the Pirates and Princess season. Like I made a trip especially to go during that season because it looked right up my alley. Pirates and princesses, like I was there. The colours, the outfits, once again, like I loved the kind of participation aspects, like where you kind of learned a routine and everything. And I think it's just really nice to kind of bring those celebrations to like the main Disneyland park. Like it's coming back next year, by the way. I'm so gonna be there. The next question is if I prefer the Disneyland Park or the Walt Disney Studios. And for me personally, I would always say the Disneyland Park. Like you can't beat that one. I kind of have a tradition to always go into that park first during my trips. But then again, when we're thinking about the massive expansion happening in the Walt Disney Studios park, I feel like the Frozen Land, the Arendelle bit, that might be like a selling point. Like I'll probably move in. Just had to change my camera battery as I'm always unprepared, so sorry if the angle just changed a little bit. Question number 9 is my favourite ride in each Disney park. So for me, for the Disneyland park, it is a tie. It is a tie between Big Thunder Mountain and Pirates of the Caribbean. When I was younger, I would have always said Big Thunder Mountain because it's just like the fun family like thrill ride sort of thing, and I still adore it to this day. I love the recent like kind of revamp they've done to kind of improve the effects and everything. But in recent years, I have learned to love Pirates of the Caribbean so much more. I feel like even though I've been on it like dozens and dozens of times, I always notice little details because like there's just so much detail throughout that ride, and I always notice something new, and it's one I just cannot miss out on every single time I go. And in the studios, I think my favourite ride has to be Tower of Terror. I love the theming so much, and even though I am a massive Marvel fan, I do dread the day that we might get an overlay with Guardians of the Galaxy. I know people say that that's amazing and I would love to like experience it, but for me personally, I just love the theming so much of Tower of Terror. So whilst editing, I realised I somehow missed out question number 10, so I'll quickly answer that for you now, and that is which is my favourite land in the Disneyland park. And for me, it is definitely Frontierland because I am weirdly obsessed with all things Western and cowboy themed. It's my favourite character to meet, and I feel like this is asking which one I like to meet like most often, like my kind of go-to character. And if that's the case, I'd actually say it's a tie between Mary and Bert and Minnie Mouse. I just feel like weirdly, whenever I look back on all my photos, I've actually met Mary and Bert loads of times, and I feel like they're always just really fun to kind of talk to. My last interaction was interesting because I felt like I really had to work to get a conversation out of them, but normally they are honestly so much fun. And Minnie Mouse, she's a queen. Like, she's actually like my fashion icon. Like, I always love meeting her fabulous outfits. On my cruise last year, oh my god, I wanted to make like a lookbook of her outfits, like honestly. This links in with the next question, which is my favourite character meet and greet experience. And for me, this was actually, it's gonna have to be Peter Pan. I actually met Peter Pan and Wendy on my January trip this year with my mum, and Peter Pan is one of my favourite characters, and I just somehow I'd never met him before, so we queued up, and I think it was our longest wait of the trip for a character. I think it was about 45 minutes in the end, because we kind of timed it where we were the cut-off point. So I think because of that, the like cast members kind of clocked that we were quite dedicated, and I think that kind of improved our experience because we had to obviously wait that 15-minute break sort of time as well. And oh, it was so much fun. Like honestly, like I fangirled so much. We had some really good conversations, and my mum told Peter Pan that she'd been bringing me since I was little, and then he looked at me dead in the eye and went, "And she let you grow up?" and it was painful. I just felt like little things kind of made it more special. Like for example, when I got a photo taken with my phone, if you look at the phone case, it's kind of the vintage style Disneyland ticket, and Peter Pan said that Tinkerbell's on it, and he pointed it out, and I was like, yes, it's Tinkerbell. Little things like that just made it more special, and it was really nice kind of meeting them with my mum, and we got some really cute photos and everything, so that's my favourite meet by far. This brings us to our final question, and it is my happiest Disneyland Paris memory, and for me this is without a doubt when I was 9 years old, and it was the only time I actually dressed up in the parks when I was younger, and my mum put me in a Minnie Mouse dress. And during the time, the Studios parade I didn't really understand or know about this at the time, but apparently every single day they would always get some of the guests to join Mickey Mouse on his float, and I think they normally kind of gravitated towards families with like children and kind of got the children dressed up sort of thing. And it was quite a quiet day, and a cast member approached us and asked us if we wanted to be in the parade, and I was like, yes. We actually have all of this on a home video. My mum was filming the trip, bless her, and we went basically with my mum, her friend and my friend Ben, and I think normally they kind of only have the children on, but because it was a quieter day, they let all the family go on, and we all had like these VIP passes, and honestly, it was so special. They basically led us to where the gates were, where the actual parade started, and we had like a little VIP viewing spot, so we got to watch the parade and had like all these amazing character interactions. I remember particularly Cruella de Vil came up and made my friend Ben kiss her hand. Like, it was honestly hilarious, and we had a really nice like view for that, and basically Mickey Mouse's float was the last in the parade, so as his float came, it stopped and we all hopped on. But the float itself actually had like seats facing Mickey Mouse, so it was Mickey, Pluto and Chip and Dale, I believe, and on the home video it's awful footage. I might try and put it in if I can find it, or somehow convert the file onto like a laptop, but there's like a clip of me going up first, and he just hugs me, and it's just so magical. And then like my little face, I'm like waving, and I feel like back then it wasn't as common for your child to like dress up in the parks. Like, it happened, but you know, these days with like more like Instagram and all that, it seems to be like more apparent, but at the time you wouldn't really like think about doing it unless the child themselves like kind of suggested it, sort of thing. So that was like the only time, and then just with the look of also the park being quiet, it worked out so well, and honestly I treasure those memories forever, because not many people can say they've ridden in the parade. That was the last of the questions, and even though tags aren't necessarily a thing anymore, honestly it'd be lovely if you decided to do the questions yourself and leave me a comment below, and I'll be sure to check it out. And I hope this has kind of been a nice little kind of get to know me Disney edition video, because basically I feel like a lot more Disney content is coming your way, so I just felt like it was a good time to kind of introduce myself properly, because I've never actually done that. Now my memory card was full, so sorry if the angle has changed yet again. So as I was saying, basically my July trip is to go to the Marvel annual pass event, and I'm very excited. It's my first ever annual pass event. I've wanted to go to one for a while now, and I just feel like it's going to be so much fun because I do love Marvel, and I'm really excited. I'm going to try and do a Disney bound for the first ever time, I think, so we'll see how that works out. And then of course we've got Walt Disney World happening this September, which is now less than 100 days away. I think it's like 80 something, like, oh my god, I can't explain how excited I am. It's literally been my life dream, and I feel a little bit unprepared for it in all honesty, because planning for that is definitely different to a Disneyland Paris trip. Once I've actually got more things planned for Walt Disney World, and once fast passes are sorted and everything, trust me, there will be spreadsheets involved. I will do like a proper video talking through it, because it is quite overwhelming, like trying to figure it all out, because you have to literally plan your day step by step. But anyway, I'm rambling on as always, so thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.